So hi everybody and welcome back. This is my last build up. It's a Brabham BT48 from 1979, made by Wolf Models. I didn't know about this company. It was a commission that I had to build for a friend, and as you can see, it's the 1979 car driven by Niki Lauda and Nelson Piquet in the very early years of his career. This is the Niki Lauda car, number 5. Yes, 1979, I guess it was the same year where Niki Lauda was starting the Lauda Air, what it became his main activity later on. This was after the Nürburgring crash in 1976 with the Ferrari, so he changed team and he went, there have been movies and many documentaries about this issue. Became a brabham driver, and this was the years when Brabham had the agreement with Alfa Romeo for the supplying of the engines, and they had the 12-cylinder from Alfa Romeo. That was really the critical point of this model, of this car. In the 1979 season, they used both the Ford Cosworth V8 DFV engine. That was, of course, an evolution of the previous DFV Cosworth coming from the early 70s, so less powerful, of course, than the Alfa Romeo engine unit. But it was very, very much more reliable than the Alfa Romeo engine. During all the season, this car always had problems about reliability, so it was a car that started the race and nearly never get to an end, despite she was quite fast, probably because the overall design and overall project of the vehicle was made by Gordon Murray. Gordon Murray, as you probably know better than me, was one of the best Formula One engineer ever around, making Formula One cars, and this was one of his early cars, with a chassis that was absolutely very, very performing. It was a very, very well done car, starting for probably one of the first one featuring already the side skirts that became so popular during the beginning of the 80s season, and the car was the last one featuring the combo color of red and blue from Parmalat, because since 1980 they became white and blue, as well as they became so famous with the BMW unit, the M-Power motor from 1983, the ultra famous motor driven by Nelson Piquet in the 83 season, so this was the last red Alfa Romeo powered Brabham racing in Formula One. As I say, the car had some problems, but the model is extremely interesting because it features, I think, is the only BT48 in 120 scale. There is the 46, the 46B, and I think some others made by Model Factory Hero and Studio 27. And this is indeed made by that company, as I say, the Wolf Models, that I didn't know before, so I don't know if they are from Japan or if they are from anywhere else. I don't know. I didn't hear about that company, honestly, since until now, when I had to build up this model. The overall quality is like one of the very first Studio 27 models, so extremely simple. They basically focus on the external details of the car. They feature a very, very nice photo etched sheet for the details of the engine cooling, for the side skirts, of course, for the radiators and air intakes, and probably the main part of the side parts, for the rear wing, overall it lacks a little of details because as typically in this model, it is the modeler itself that have to concentrate on creating the small finest detail that catch the eye and the attention. For example, this model basically didn't had a real cockpit, it was me that had to build up all the area around the paddles, and under the steering wheel, because it was completely closed. You see from here, I hope you can see that if I make a little zoom over there is a fire extinguisher, and down there, believe me, there is the throttle, the clutch, and the brakes, and you cannot see so much from it. But in the original model, this part was completely closed, so it was a brick of resin that I had to drill and open up completely, as well as the seat was completely part of the lower resin part. So when you build up the model, you cannot have the seat placed apart like in ordinary plastic models. This was a part that was completely together with the side barrier of the engine bay, basically, that is not present in the model. The same for the details about the exhaust and so on. There is basically no details at all in the rear part, so it's basically the modeler that have to add. Here I did what I could, so I added all the cables, I added the plugs from Top Studio. I hope you can see that from this point of view. And mostly you have to increase a lot the details about the wheels, you know, because the wheels were completely featuring a rim that was completely closed, and it was I hope that you can see from here, was completely closed, so you had completely to drill and open up all the brackets of the rim to make something like that. There are the wheels coming from a Williams FW13B that I'm currently building up. The model, so basically is really eye-catching, you know, when complete. I think it's the only one in this scale. I added the usual little stuff to detail the wheels, you know, so the most visible parts on the model, and I think it's really eye-catching. So remember that being a racing kit with metal parts, all the metal parts mostly have to be pinned. So I place a pin over the wing, over the suspension, over the front suspension, so everything is pinned here. And plus you have to concentrate extremely carefully about the setup of the overall vehicle, you know, so all the model have to be really close to the ground, and the side skirts have to fit in this type of position. If you simply build up the model like it is straight from the box, the final setup is not made this way, it's made a little imprecise, you know, so it is not fitting this way, so you have to adjust by your own when you complete the model. This is really the last part that you place over the model, so it is something that arrives really in the end of the building up, you know. And that's it. Probably the hardest part for me to finish this type of model was the front vacuum form windshield in front of the steering wheel that is made in vacuum form. You have to paint it from the inside with blue, and you have to make it glossy, and you have to apply over 3 decals that don't fit to the original shape of the part. Final gloss have been made with Gunze Sangyo GX100 as usual over this model. You know, some people say that it became a little too bit glossy, but I think it's absolutely stunning in its final look, as you can see, so I don't think it's too much. And that's it. Final details like the engine air intakes I had to drill by my own because they were completely closed, as well as I had to open the air intakes for the brakes, both from the front brakes and the rear brakes, as well as that 2 air intakes over that cable that is not present. All the minor details are not present in the original model, you know. I had to pin, of course, also the side mirrors and do as much as I could the best detail ever for the cockpit there. But overall I think it's really showing very nicely the Niki Lauda car used in Zandvoort in 1979. So that's it, guys. If you are going to build up a Wolf model, I hope this video can help you, and see you in the next.